but what has just come in, and would like to highlight some parts of it. We've been talking a lot about it in the media, about the existence or non-existence of a letter that the Finance Minister sent to the Minister of Communications, Mr. Landabeni Abrahams, that's dated the 15th of June of this year. And this, you will note, is before the Minister of Communications appeared before the Portfolio Committee on Communications in Parliament, where she stated the reasons why they're not giving money to the SABC, and did not see it fit to mention the contents of this letter that is titled Request for Short-Term Funding Requirements for 3.2 billion for the South African Broadcasting Corporation, wherein she states the Minister of Finance states a few reasons as to why this will not be happening. So the letter is being circulated now. Seemingly it is authentic. But I imagine our follow-up teams will delve deeper into the contents of that letter. Let's go back now to the OR Tambo International Airport.
But at least the last two games, we proved to our fans the type of cricket that we can play. And I'm very proud as a captain to say that, because it is very easy for a team when they've been on the ropes for so long on a tough tournament just to fall away and go and disappear, and we didn't do that. We stood up and we played some really good games of cricket. So yeah, that puts a small smile on my face.
On the tournament itself, just on the tournament itself and the format, there were a lot of cries when the ICC did say that it would be a 10-team tournament, about the other teams not being able to participate in the ICC World Cup. Do you feel this format is the right one and the one that makes for competitive cricket?
It's a tougher competition, definitely. So probably the answer to that would be yes. If the previous World Cup we beat Ireland, Zimbabwe, and West Indies in our 3-round robin game. So it's easier to get, from a South African point of view, I would probably say leave it to the 8 teams, because it gives you another crack at getting to that quarterfinal stage. But this is a ruthless tournament. So I think in terms of watching it, it's probably a better structure.
Morning, Faf, and
morning.
Welcome back to the whole team.
Thank you.
You speak of the first week and how difficult it was at the World Cup, and the two teams that you faced who were favourites. And obviously in how you voiced out how difficult it was for you as a captain. How difficult was it to reach out to some of the experienced players in the side who were also struggling to sort of get runs, and obviously with the mixture that you want of youth and experience, how difficult was it to tap into?
No, that's a great question, because that is a reality that we did face as a team. Obviously being the captain of the team, I take most of the responsibility on my own shoulders, so that was weighing on me, but also some of the other senior players were probably low on runs and not doing as well as they would have liked. And naturally what happens to anyone when they a little bit low on confidence is it is harder to be at the forefront and making sure you are leading as well as you would like. So that was something we spoke about as a team on that side, to make sure that even the more senior and experienced players, to make sure that they contribute off the field, keep making sure that there's a support system for me in place as well to share the load. And when that's what we're there for as a team, we're trying to share the load. But it was something that we faced as a team, and we spoke about it, and the guys did try.
You've got quite an appetite when you come up against Australia. That time with the celebration, I'm sure it must have meant a lot to you and the World Cup to wrap it up.
As I said, leaving the shores there yesterday, that the motion of that was just purely on me, having to lead from the front as captain. I have to score hundreds as well if I'm talking about scoring hundreds. And I batted really well throughout the competition, but it was a frustration for me that I couldn't put more big scores on the board. Obviously I know that it's not possible that I'm going to win every game, but it shows that if one batter bats through, we are putting ourselves in a position of winning. In the last 2 games, for myself, it was nice to be there and see the team through to get a win for the team. But that was just when we spoke so much about batters putting the hand up. So that was just me the emotion of been trying to do it the whole competition and then finally getting it.
Hi, welcome back.
Thank you.
Obviously, the betting has come under a lot of pressure over the past year, 18 months or so. As the captain, or as a big part of the betting or top order, when you guys left, there was always a feeling that the runs, even though were not coming for some of our top order batsmen, were going to come, hopefully, at the World Cup, especially with Hash and Aiden. The runs did not come, and we find ourselves where we are at the moment.
Yeah.
Would you say, has it become now an emergency or an urgent thing for the batsmen to get their acts together and those runs on the board?
Yeah, first of all, I think when we left, we, as the Brains Trust, understood that we didn't have the strongest batting lineup in the world of cricket. You know, when it comes to names on paper, we thought we had the best bowling attack, and that was the one thing that we spoke of, that we knew. We knew our limitations and we knew our strengths as a team. And obviously, the last year, consistency from a batting unit hasn't been there. So that's why I'm saying our hopes wasn't on us putting on 350 every game as a batting unit. Our hopes was on bowling teams out for 280 and then chasing it down. And that happened at the World Cup. You know, as you say, there was a lot of talk about the batting, but losing Dale and probably Lungi not being at his best from a fitness point of view meant that in that first 6 or so games we chased 300 plus, or the team got 300 plus almost in every game. And the thing that is obvious to me, that in a chase in a World Cup, all the teams that got 320, 330 plus, it was difficult to chase. When you got a lower score, then it was a little bit easier. You know, it's the old runs on the board in a big game does make a difference. So we understood that. Obviously, in a perfect world, you want more of your batters contributing. You know, over the last 12 months or so, Quinton has done really well. Rassie has done very well, and then obviously I've also scored some runs. But as a collective top 6, yeah, we need to be performing better if you want to win games with a bat as well. We knew that our bowling was going to do that, but as soon as we lost those injuries, our team was a team of trying to put a team of balance together, and that showed that we did a good job. You know, even someone like Chris Morris, who wasn't part of the initial plans, purely from our tactics point of view. You know, we had so many X-factor bowlers, we didn't need another one. The fact that we lost our bowlers meant that Murray came in and he did brilliantly. So unfortunately that was at the expense of Dwayne Pretorius, who's been really good for us over the last year. But that's the challenges we faced with from a selection point of view.
Faf, on the way forward, a lot has been said, of course, about potential changes, not only to the management team, but to some players who might leave international cricket.
Yeah.
Yourself, have you considered your future? I mean, you've always said that once the day you lose that passion and that drive to play for your country, you might go on retirement.
Yeah.
Does that cross your mind?
Yeah, so naturally what will happen, obviously, with the first part of your question is the fact that 2 or 3 guys are retiring. And then, you know, so I always find that after a World Cup like this, there's probably about 4 or 5 changes anyway, because most of your guys are a little bit older. So I think you will see that in the one-day team, probably 4 or 5 new faces the next time, or a new team the next time the one-day side play, because there needs to be some sort of looking forward to the next 4 years and the planning of that. But also within that, you need to have some players around them, because otherwise that learning period takes so much longer, and that phase of in between can become really tricky. So that's obviously, from a Proteas point of view, it's important that we do have experienced players around to help the younger guys. And then personally, as I said in the press conference on that side, it was just a case for me where I said that, you know, winning the World Cup or losing the World Cup, after the World Cup, I would sit down and just rethink where am I going, what am I doing, what is my purpose, what is my plans, how long am I seeing myself playing for South Africa, how long do I need to look at maybe perhaps playing T20 leagues around the world. Those are all things that I need to consider over the next while, and we'll have good discussions with all the right people about that. But right now, I'm still sitting here with a lot of passion for the Proteas. I'm extremely motivated still. I love captaining this team. It has been my purpose for the last year, more than anything, more than my batting, more than tournaments away from the Proteas. That has been the motivating factor for me. So obviously I'm hurt as well. Like I said, I carry the responsibility on my shoulders as well. So that's why, no, it's not necessary now to make decisions, because you're probably a little bit emotional, but time will heal everything, and then in 2 or 3 weeks' time, I'll be fresher again. Obviously having moved on from the disappointment of the World Cup, but then, just seeing where it all fits in going forward.
Welkom terug. Ik wil niet kortelijks vragen van in Afrikaans. Ter opsomming, jammer dat ik dat jou doen. Je zit hier heel achter. Ter opsomming, kan je voor ons zeggen, hoe verwacht jij van Zuid-Afrikaners, jullie aanhangers, ik zie toevallig jullie toch heel wat aanhangers hier toe jullie gearriveerd. Hoe verwacht jullie Zuid-Afrikaners moet jullie vertoning interpreteren? Wil jullie mensen, moet sagkens met jullie wees, of moet mensen ook baie openlijk en ernstig met jullie wees? En waar is die pad vorentoe nou? Voor die volgende 5 jaar denk je, Zuid-Afrika kan weer aanspraak maken op die titel?
Sure. Ja, nou, dat is groter Afrikaans woord wat ek ken. Oké, laat ek begin. Wat is die eerste deel? Die fans. Ja, die fans het elke reg om te voel soos wat hulle voel. Ons as 'n span voel presies dieselfde emosies. Ons gaan deur dieselfde goed. Disappointment, hurt, embarrassment, al die goeders. Ek weet nie wat daai woord in Afrikaans is meer nie. So dis normaal om so te voel. Ons voel presies dieselfde. So ek as 'n span en as kaptein kan ek net jammer sê dat ons nie die standaarde van hierdie span gekry het nie, wat ons uitgesit het om te try regkry in die Wêreldbeker. Maar wat ek volop sal sê is, vir my is dit belangrik dat enige Suid-Afrikaanse span met altyd net hulle alles gee. Dis al wat ek kan vra as kaptein. Dis al wat jy regtig soek in jou span. Obviously is ons 'n land wat wil wen. Ons gaan altyd 'n land wees wat wil wen. Ons gaan nooit tevrede wees met tweede beste, derde beste nie. Ons het baie hoë standaarde as 'n land, en ons span het presies dieselfde standaarde. So wees kwaad, wees emosioneel, wees bly dat ons Australië gewen het die laaste game, en dit was 'n groot wedstryd. Ons min dinge lekkerder vir ons as 'n nasie om Australië te wen, maak nie saak of dit al klaar uit is nie. En dan en dan beweeg aan met tyd en support die span weer. Soos ek sê, die span ons het alles gegee. Die ouens is emosioneel en fisies is hulle tanks leeg, want ons het was 'n toue toer waar die ouens alles gegee het. En dis al wat ek kan sê. Ons probeer het. Die resultate was nie daar nie, maar dit was nie van 'n lack of trying nie. Tweede deel. Ja, kyk, ons baie dinge wat moet gebeur vir om 'n span te wees wat jouself in daai posisie sit om die beste, om potensieel 'n Wêreldbeker te wen. Volgende Wêreldbeker is in India. Wat is nodig om in India te wen? Jy het 'n golf span nodig wat baie goed is teen spin. So natuurlik gaan jou Pakistan, Sri Lanka, India, Bangladesh, al daai spanne gaan goeie spanne wees op daai toernooie. So die volgende 4 jaar in terms van preparation vir kolwers, vir spin veral, gaan 'n groot deel speel. En dan as 'n bowl attack, ek dink dieselfde ding wat in Engeland nou gebeur het, mense het altyd spoed nodig. Spoed is baie belangrik. Solank ons vinnige bowlers het wat 145, 150 kan bowl, gee jouself 'n kans. Dis hoekom ons praat baie van Dale en van KG en die ouens wat obviously nie beesvolle sou wou wees nie, maar iemand soos André Norke was ons backup plan geweest vir spoed, want hy bal amper 150 km/h en hy doen presies wat iemand soos Jeffrey Archer vir Engeland doen. So sulke ouens is ook belangrik, want hulle het nog nie baie gespeel nie, maar hulle het iets wat die ouens nog nie gesien het nie. So ja, ek dink dit sal bietjie anders wees in terme van planning. Maar er is definitief genoeg talent in ons land. Jy kan dit sien. Die Mzansi League is 'n great ding vir die toekoms van cricket in Suid-Afrika. Dit is baie belangrik dat daar ander jong spelers deurkom. ek dink my sien dit reg rondom die wêreld die effek wat dit het. India, die IPL, Big Bash, Australië, die ouens kom deur, selfs Bangladesh se T20 league het hulle nou 'n span gemaak wat 'n baie goeie span is. So dis 'n baie belangrike investment vir cricket Suid-Afrika.
Fafazit, just a quick one, mate. How important was the toss? Never mind the weather. We saw the first couple of games, and I think that's where we started to see that it's quite important to be, to select whether to bowl or bat first, and looking at the conditions. But it seems like we obviously were leaning on our bowling attack. Did we go there knowing very well that our batting attack will not probably be able to stand up to some of the bowlers across the world?
I think the toss has played a effect, but I think sometimes your decision you make at a toss is very dependent on the selection of the team that you have, and we didn't always have the luxury of having one thing that's very strong, batting or bowling, and then your decision gets determined by what is your strengths on the day, and then you've got to try and make do with what you've got. But even I remember specifically the toss against Bangladesh. Would I change it now? Probably yes, I would, because I did feel like batting was also, it was a lot of discussions going on. Batting was a great option, but it showed that when we played Sri Lanka and who was the other team we defended, we chased the score. Anyway, Afghanistan, two subcontinent teams. When you do bowl first against them, and you do get them 280, 260, 250, then it's actually very easy to chase down the score. But when they get a big score on the target, on the board, then you're a little bit under trouble, because then they've got their spinners through the middle. So our plans was always strong bowling attack, extra pace in Morris, pace and bounce in the over wicket, try and bowl them out for 250, morning start. All the local people are saying, in Surrey, the morning toss, 10:30 game, you have to bowl first. So we perhaps should have listened more to what, the gut that we felt possibly, and then to the local people there. But even with the toss there, we bowled very averagely. So I could have won 15 tosses in a row and choose everything that I wanted to do, but it always comes down to the skill that you produce on whatever you do first. So yes, that in my mind, that was always at the back of my mind, that the toss, what is our strengths today, and then you try and work with that a little bit. The last two games, we probably had a longer batting lineup, so then you can say, well, actually our batting lineup is a little bit longer, so we can chase now. Whereas before, our bowling was our strength, so you want to defend with the ball a little bit more. So, but it's a 50-50 thing. It's not that big of a deal.
Faf, I just want to take you back to something before the tournament started that you placed a lot of emphasis on, and that was the mindset of the team. And I know hindsight is an exact science, but you wanted everybody to be quite relaxed. You spoke about not the be-all and end-all.
Yeah.
Especially when you looked at the Bangladesh game, for instance, it looked like the team's mentality had gone too far the one way, and that they were almost too relaxed. Looking at it now over the course of time, do you think that perhaps you got that a little bit wrong, and that you would have pushed for more intensity from the beginning?
I think, it's a fair question. I think the context of the mindset is where the difference comes. The context of the mindset was meant to be for when there's a lot of pressure on us as a team, to not feel overwhelmed by the situation that is in front of you. To not look at it as if you lose this game right now, you're going to die, the world's going to finish. Like, don't put that extra pressure on yourself. So that's the context of that mindset going into a World Cup where there's more pressure. By no means ever, absolutely never, do we as a team, and especially me as a captain, go into the field with a chilled, relaxed, let's just cruise through the motions here today, brew. It doesn't work like that. That's not the way that I captain. My biggest things are always body language, intensity. That's an absolute non-negotiable. But looking back at that game, looking back at that first week, yes, there was times when the team was a little bit casual, and that was the chat that we had after the Bangladesh game. That why is it in that game? Why is our body language not as good as we need it to be? Is it a comfort zone thing because you're playing against a team that is lesser favourite in the world of cricket. So possibly that game we weren't at our best in that regard, but I can tell you it's got nothing to do with the mindset of being calm and composed and relaxed in your mind. There's always, from a body language point of view, that's never acceptable.
But it's possible, sorry, that the team might have gotten that a bit wrong. You of
Yeah.
the other players may not have been.
Yeah, I suppose, yes. But I think that's as a player yourself, you've got to look at yourself in the mirror. When you walk out playing a game for the Proteas, you should never walk onto the field with that mindset anyway. So if you're doing that, then the finger is pointing right back at you as a player. So there was guys that would have had that hard look in the mirror with themselves because they weren't where they needed to be. And they tried to rectify it the next game against India, which I thought in the India match, there was a huge amount of intensity and fight. When we bowled second, we just didn't have enough runs. We were 20-30 runs short on that day.
With regards to changes that are going to happen going forward because of a few senior players stepping aside, will you guys really consider giving or looking deeper into the issue of Temba and Dean into this ODI side? Because these two guys have repeatedly said that they want to give this format a shot.
Everyone comes into contention now. I mean, as I said, there's 3 or 4 players that's probably moving on. Right now at the top of my head, someone like Reece Hendricks is another player that's done well, has opened the batting. He's a younger player, someone like that. Aiden Markram hasn't been playing all the time. He hasn't been an established player, so there's already 2 names. And then you look at all the other players in the country, who's going to fill JP's position? Who's the best guys? Who's the best options for that? So I mean, that is now it's open season for whoever is putting their hand up in terms of performance. If they do that, obviously, Temba has done signs of it. Temba has improved a lot, I think, as a white ball cricketer. I think initially, his style of play was more suited to Test cricket. But he's shown last year in the T20 tournament when he performed, he scored 100 in that. So he's putting his hand up and he's saying, "Pick me." So there will be probably 3 or 4 names that is now probably going to come into the one-day team. But to be honest with you, we haven't had those chats yet because there's a lot that needs to happen probably before we get to who's the next one-day team. So yeah, they will be obviously players that will be on the table for team selection. Thank you.
Where are you coming, bro?
Jump over.
Come this way.
Not.
Oh. This way. Which way are you going? I